big game this weekend at Saracens, and a real tough ask again for the boys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I don't mind admitting it. You know, I think there's been quite a huge amount of frustration around the place from our last couple of results, and you know, I don't. It sounds difficult to say that sometimes when you go, oh, well, it was Northampton and it was Bath, two of the top performing teams in the Premiership. But the truth is, it is the international period. We were at home. And certainly, I think to only get the 2 losing bonus points out of the 2 games as a collection of the points we could have got is disappointing. And I think what disappointed me more than anything was perhaps the way the points slipped away from us. As I say, not taking anything away from Northampton and from Bath. You know, they came here and they found their ways to win, and great credit to them. But I think we feel we underperformed. And I think if you feel you underperform, you've got to stop and you've got to say something about it, and you've got to talk about addressing it. We've had a good week looking at some of those things already. Now, obviously, going to Saracens is not the ideal thing to necessarily try and put things right, but what it does give us is a great test, because they're a very well organised, well disciplined, well structured team. Who are this season finding a way to expand beyond that, and are becoming a very good attacking force as well. You know, I think everyone's very aware of the structured and aggressive defence that they back their game on, but there's a lot more to them than that. You know, that's the truth. It's not as simple as saying you've got to out-attack their defence. You know, it's not like that anymore. They score a lot of points, so it's a great challenge for us. And I think as long as I see our level of performance go up a notch or two in the areas we've addressed, A, that will give us a great chance to get something out of the game, but B, it'll show a level of progress, which is what I want to see. I want to see us progress in a couple of areas. I'm not necessarily going to expand on those, because they're something that we're in particular focusing on. And if that happens, we'll be a better team across the rest of the season. And you know, you look at our fixtures, you look at the number of fixtures left, the number of home games we've got. And as I said, you know, I'll be very disappointed if we're not fighting our way to the top half of the table.
Has that been a disappointment for you? In the past, Sandy Park has been a bit of a fortress, and this year you haven't really rammed that home as much. Yeah, no doubt.
It's a difficult one for us, because you know, when you talk about what signifies improvement, if you look at all the fixtures, you know, we're virtually there or thereabouts in every fixture we played. I mean, I can only think of the first game of the season at Northampton and maybe the game at Twickenham, where you know, the game's got away from us, and we've got to say, well, we didn't really deserve anything out of the game. Other than that, you look at every single game, and we've been hugely competitive, both on the scoreboard and in what's happened on the pitch. And to not ram a couple home is disappointing, because you know, that would signify some significant improvement, because the points would show it. As it is, I think the performances have shown a real consistent level with us right across all the competitions we've been in, but we haven't rammed home 1 or 2 moments in each game that could have significantly improved our season. So like I said, it's not about throwing away the baby with the bathwater. It's not about panicking. It's about addressing the real issues. And a couple of the issues we've had in the last couple of weeks has just not been putting pressure onto other teams. You know, we've had field position and we've given up sort of silly penalties. We've had field position and we've lost the line out. We've had field position, you know, and we've kind of gone to sleep at a scrum. And we've kind of done that in a couple of weeks. And you know, you look at how close the scores are. You only have to cut out one of those errors and you probably win a game. You know, and we're making numerous ones. Well, we've got to significantly reduce that. But the truth is that's within our hands. That's something we're capable of doing. It's something we've got to work very hard and make sure we do.
You played Saracens on the 4G surface before. You played at Cardiff as well. Do you do anything different ahead of games on these?
Well, I mean,
quicker games.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we can do is, because it's so wet everywhere and there's not a lot of good grass, we've just trained a little bit more than we usually do on rubber crumbs. So, you know, it is no big deal. You know, it is what it is, and the guys now are kind of used to changes of surfaces. We do have a couple of players. You know, people are aware of this. We have a couple of players who are probably unavailable to us because of the rubber crumb, but because we don't want to risk injuring them longer term. But that's what you have to do. You know, you deal with that within your squad. We've put a very strong side out this weekend, and it's a side that I'm expecting to go up there and, like I say, address a couple of the issues we've had in the last couple of weeks. Because you know, if you want to be a top achieving side, you've got to ram home victories. As I say, it's a different challenge this week because we're going away, and as you say, there's a change of surface and different opponents. But that doesn't mean we can't address some of the things that we've talked about.
You've alluded to that you'll tweak sides and bring in fresh faces. How important is that to keep the squad fresh and alive, still going?
I'm not too worried about keeping it. I don't think we're tired. It's not an issue for us. It's not about being fresh. The guys are working hard. You know, the work rate stats and no issues for us the last couple of weeks. I've not got any feelings at all that we're tired. I think that would make an excuse that just isn't true. We're not tired. We look fresh in training. We look sparky in training. We've got plenty of energy. But it's making sure that our energy produces results for us, and that's what we've got to sort out. The direction and the focus of where we're putting that energy is what we've got to improve on.